Yo, how's it going, guys? KPR here, bringing you guys another video, and today I'll be ranking all of the lethal overclocks for Black Ops 7. I took a while to make this video because I already made one in the beta, and that was mainly just the lethal itself without the overclocks, because unlocking the overclocks in the beta was actually much harder than unlocking them now. In the beta, you actually had to get the final kills or final blows on the enemy in order to actually get any experience for the overclocks. In this one, you mainly just have to use it and get a hit marker on them in order to get some experience. Either ways though, it was still quite a while for me to unlock all the overclocks. Just recently I was able to unlock them, especially because the Tomahawk took me a while to get until I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go with gun-ho and then have a melee out, and that made it so much easier for me to unlock the overclock. I have every overclock for the field upgrades. Those were probably the easiest ones to do. It was the first ones I got. And then right now I'm about to finish the tactical, so there will be a video out for them soon. Probably one without the overclocks and another one with the overclocks. But anyways, let's get right into it. There are 8 lethals in the game, so therefore there are 16 overclocks for each one of them, but I will be doing them together because most of the time, even with the overclocks, it doesn't really change much if I do it all separately, and they'll most likely end up in the same tier. So that'd be a much longer video and kind of unnecessary in my opinion. So for the worst lethal with overclocks, it has to go to the point sentry turret, or point turret. I think that's what it's called. My fault, y'all. I actually like using it a lot just because getting those kills is kind of satisfying in a way, but it is not the best lethal in the game at all. For the overclocks, you have rapid fire mod and the gyroscopic stabilize. The rapid fire mod, well, makes it shoot faster, and the gyroscopic stabilize makes it so it sticks anywhere on the wall. I've actually been using that overclock much more often than I have the rapid fire mod. Due to it being a bit more convenient for me, I am able to place it on the wall and place it right behind them as well, and they won't notice the point turret, and actually gets me a few kills sometimes. However, it does take quite a few hit markers in order to actually murk them, so that's why it's not really the best one at all, and it gets one-shotted by any gun in the game, including pistols, so I'm like, bruh. It's somewhat useful at times, but it's not the best at all due to it being just easily breakable, and there are much better lethals to take in this game. You could take the squad link field upgrade, but I do not know the numbers on it, so I generally don't know what it buffs it by and by how much. And sometimes it really feels like it does the same amount of damage and then it has the same fire rate, and of course it still gets one shot. So I'm like, bruh, is it really that worth it? The only time it felt worth it was when I would have the ammo bag and just keep putting 2 out. I'll put them in separate corners with the rapid fire mod on, and it would somewhat melt them at times unless the enemy already went by there, and it's just like, all right, time to take out one of the turrets right away, so then it doesn't really do as much damage. So in my opinion, the point turret is definitely a low D tier, and it's actually much worse without the overclocks. So yeah, no one's really gonna be picking this as their first choice. I have seen, I would say at most 5 times I've seen enemies actually run the point turret before them not ever running it ever again. Moving on to number 7, we have the Molotov. Even with the overclocks, the Molotov is not that great. In this game, it's probably the worst Molotov I've seen in any of the Call of Duties I played. I'm like, dude, this Molotov is so dog water. The flame no longer lingers on them if you hit them directly like it used to. So you're not going to be getting those free kills if you hit them directly. Now you have to hope they actually stay in the Molotov or they're already damaged in order for you to murk them with it. For both of the overclocks, we have Erasure Combustible, which makes it so you do more damage with the Molotov, the ticks basically, and we have Heavy Pour. It makes the Molotov area of effect much larger. I'm not gonna lie, I used both of these overclocks and I did not feel a true difference with the damage itself. I was just like, dude, they practically still die at the same rate as if you didn't have the overclock on. And even when you hit them directly, it will not kill them. So it's like, dog, why would I even take this overclock? I'd rather take the one that gives me a bigger area of effect. And there is a bit of a difference. I can't truly see it at times though. I'm just like, bro, maybe there isn't none. Maybe it's just bugged out, and that's why also the more damage doesn't work either. Maybe I'll make a video, or not a video, I'll put a comment down if it is a bug. I'll find out in the patch notes when they come out this Friday. But either ways, the Molotov really needs some love in this game because it is extremely dog water. At times I feel like I would prefer the point turret over the Molotov, just because at least the point turret, I know it's going to disappoint me. But the Molotov, when I see a bunch of ticks go off and I have the more damage per tick, it's just like they're not dead and they still have half health. So I'm like, bro, what is going on? What's the point of this overclock? Where is the point of any of the overclocks for it if it's not really going to make a huge difference? Honestly, what they should do is let you equip both overclocks for the Molotov. Then maybe it'll be a bit more viable. And I actually feel like I should have put it lower than the point turret, but the point turret is still the worst one in this game. So for sure, the Molotov is a D tier. Solid D tier, nothing above or lower. For number 6, we have the Combat Axe / the Tomahawk. And for the overclocks, we got lightweight alloys, faster raise speed, and ergonomic grip, which lets you throw the Combat Axe further and faster. Now for both of these overclocks, I actually did notice a difference with them. I kind of like the lightweight alloys more than I do the ergonomic grip. The reason being is because sometimes you're just throw out your Tomahawk already, you get the scavenger, and you don't raise up your Tomahawk fast enough to actually murk the second target. The ergonomic grip, I used it for quite a bit as well because I was trying to see the difference between the throwing speed and how much farther it is. You definitely notice how farther you throw it. The speed is something I couldn't tell as much, and that being because I am blind as shit, so I was not able to see how fast that little Tomahawk was going to the enemies. So, but either ways, I still feel like the Tomahawk itself is just more of a skill issue weapon. I actually enjoyed using it once I was like, you know what, I'm gonna take a class specifically for it, because in the beta I was not trying to take a class that was specifically made for the Tomahawk. I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna use whatever I use for my primary weapons or my pistols setup. So yeah, that did not work out the best, and that's why I rated it much lower than it probably should have been. Now with the overclocks, I would rate it at a solid C tier due to it still being a skill issue weapon, but I enjoyed using it much more than I did in the beta. Not gonna lie, now that I'm looking back at my reason why I like lightweight alloys and some of the things I deleted because I was messing up on them, it doesn't make much sense because I'm running gun-ho and I can already sprint with the Tomahawk out. And the ergonomic grip should be a bit better, but I don't know, for some reason lightweight alloys even felt better then. The ergonomic grip doesn't feel as great for me, at least, because there are those moments where I just take it out of nowhere because I see an enemy. I'm not always running around with it, so it could be that. But either ways, I still enjoyed using the Tomahawk, and it is a solid C tier. It could probably definitely be way up there if I was actually better with it, but I'm not. Moving on to number 5, we have the C4. Now with the overclocks, we have Shrapnel Pack, which makes it so non-lethal hits delay healing, and C-Link Detonator. You detonate faster and without the clacker. Now, the reason it is actually at number 5 is because the C-Link Detonator doesn't always work. I've noticed that quite a few times, and I was like, dog, that overclock is either bugged or it's just really dog water, because it seems like you take around the same amount of time to detonate it, even without the clacker. Sometimes it shows up, sometimes it doesn't, and I'm just like, bruh, Shrapnel Pack is definitely the way to go, because at least you delay their health regen if they are not killed by the C4. Now, there is a problem with both of these overclocks though, is that most of the time you will be able to get those kills. It seems like the explosion radius for the C4 is much larger than most people anticipate, so I actually get those instant kills most of the time when I'm using it. I was just like, dude, oh my gosh, the few times I use the C4 is when no one is wearing flak jacket and everyone is surprised by how huge the radius is, so everyone's just getting insta killed. I've gotten so many double kills and triple kills with it. I'm just like, dude, it's a pretty good lethal, don't get me wrong, but with overclocks it's much lower because you're taking them into account, and then you're just like, dude, what are the point of the overclocks? Like, the C4 is good lethal. I would actually rate it much higher than I did in the beta. Did I rate it in the beta? I honestly forgot, but I would definitely rate it much higher because it's insanely useful at times. The only thing that's holding it back is you needing to detonate it, and the C-Link detonator is not working. So I honestly would say this is a solid C+ tier, and it could definitely be better if the things on it were buffed. Maybe the Shrapnel Pack should be changed. That should have given to the frag, I feel like, and then the bigger explosion radius could be insanely useful. I would say that probably take it up to S tier just because how useful that'd be, and it already has a generous radius, and just getting a bigger one would be insane. But yeah, like I mentioned already, the reason it's this low on the list is due to the overclocks not really helping out in most situations. Moving on to number 4, we have the Semtex. With the Semtex, the overclocks you get are high density explosive, makes the lethal or the explosion much more lethal, and controllable fuse. That is insanely useless. Now, the reason why it's a bit higher than the C4 is because of the high density explosive. That makes it much more better because it makes that explosion, you're able to one-shot them a bit easier. Granted, if you stick them, you're going to one-shot them regardless, which is why I also find the fuse useless. At that point, you might as well just take the frag if you want to take that overclocked. It's just so counterintuitive in my opinion. I wasn't even going to unlock the overclock for it, but I was just like, you know what, I got some time to kill, I might as well unlock it since I'm waiting to get a different tactical in order to upgrade it. But yeah, that controllable fuse, definitely the most useless overclock in the game, I would say. If I did a tier list for all the overclocks in the game, that'd definitely be the lowest of the low. And I probably will when I unlock all of them, though. The score streaks are going to take me the longest, bruh. That is going to be way too long. But anyways, the Semtex is a good lethal, of course. It's up for grabs which one is better between the frag and the Semtex. But if we're going through overclocks, I would say the frag is better than this. There have been times where I'm able to stick people with flak jacket. I don't think anyone can really die even when you have high density explosives and they got flak jacket. I haven't been really able to test it out too well, but I might put it down in the comments if I'm able to actually see it does kill people with flak jacket as well. So either ways, the Semtex is definitely a low B tier with the overclocks. You guys can let me know down in the comments whether you guys agree or disagree with that, but that's all I really got to say about the Semtex. Not really the best overclocks as well. Coming in at number 3, we have the Frag Grenade. With the Frag Grenade, the overclocks you get are high density explosives, like I said already, much more lethal explosion. And the second overclock is ultralight metal, increased throw distance, cooking shows, and arc indicator. That is extremely useful. Now, I do have a problem with the ultralight metal though, is that it doesn't show when the grenade is actually cooking like it used to. I feel like that might be a bug, but the throw distance or the arc it shows is actually pretty useful. I've gotten so many kills with it and it just feels so much smoother in my opinion. And it doesn't reduce the explosion radius either. I was kind of surprised by that because how fast it's thrown and how much farther you throw it as well. I'm just like, dude, this is a pretty good ass overclock. Like, damn, dude. If I was just rating the overclock itself, it'd be a solid S tier for sure. It buffs the frag by a lot and it goes from a low B tier lethal to a solid A tier. It is extremely useful. That arc indicator is extremely nice. The high density explosive is good as well. I have gotten so many kills with it when I used it, but the ultralight metal is the one I prefer, and it makes sense that it takes quite a bit to unlock it. But I do not like how it doesn't show when the frag is actually going to go off. Everything goes away. I'm just like, all right, well, at least I still get that arc indicator. I was testing it to make sure that the fuse does go off, and like you guys just saw right now, it went off on me. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, and I should have probably mentioned this at the very beginning, is that with the fuses, you can actually put them away. Let's say the frag's about to blow up in your hand, you just press Y or you just switch weapons, whatever you guys are playing on. It doesn't really make it blow up on you like it did in the previous games, and I was kind of surprised by that. I was like, all right, well, sick, but damn, maybe they should have just let it blow up on you because it doesn't really make much sense, but whatever. It's set in 2020 something or 2030. I honestly forgot. 2035, I think. They said 10 years ahead of time. And brother, I hope they'll add a version of uplink sometime this year or next year whenever they add more game modes, because I'm really missing uplink from BO3, Infinite Warfare, and Advanced Warfare. Those were some solid ass modes they had. So I'm pretty sure I mentioned it already that the frag with the overclocks is definitely A tier, and I would definitely be running this for quite a while as well. Moving on to number 2, we have the cluster grenade. Now the cluster grenade with the overclocks is controllable fuse. I feel like this one's actually useful due to it not just being one explosion, it's actually multiple explosions. And the next one is tided packing, which adds one additional mini grenade. Now the cluster grenade itself is already insanely good. Now the only thing I would have loved to seen it added was the fuse, and lo and behold, the overclock is what it came with. This controllable fuse is much more useful. Granted, I feel like the fuse on this one goes off way much faster than the other ones, and this still makes it a solid overclock. Both of them are pretty good. The tided packing, adding one additional mini grenade to it, come on dog, you're gonna keep killing people with flakjack if they're just staying on the point with that. Now usually with the overclocks there will be one where it's just like kind of meh, it's not really the greatest, it's kind of mid. But with the cluster grenade, you actually won't really know which one to pick. Both of them are extremely useful. Just debating whether you want to take a cluster grenade that has a fuse on it or one that gives you an additional mini grenade. It's just hard to choose in general. I personally try to take the fuse because the additional packing is useful, but I feel like most of the time I'm still going to be murking the people already. The extra mini grenade is kind of overkill at times. I'm just like, dog, everyone's kind of dead already. I already cleared out the whole room. The fuse would have done it a bit faster, but either ways, both of them get the job done. There will be some times where I get an additional kill due to that tided packing, since an additional mini grenade is thrown out and they don't notice it. So both of the overclocks for the cluster grenade makes it in the S tier. This is actually one tier up higher than I did in the beta, mainly because I wasn't able to unlock the tided packing, but I was like, you know what, it's still a pretty good lethal, so A tier for sure. But using it more in the full release, I'm just like, dog, this is just an S tier lethal with these overclocks. It's just insanely useful. Even without the overclocks, I would rate the cluster grenade at a lower S tier instead of it just being a regular S tier. Let me know down in the comments if you guys agree or disagree with me with the cluster grenade. Now, the best lethal in the game with the overclocks is the needle drone. It is still insanely useful. I honestly thought they were going to nerf it from the beta, but I don't even think they touched it at all, and it's just extremely fun to use, and you can get so many kills with it as well. The overclocks for the needle drone are high density explosive and rotor boost. For the rotor boost, it adds an ability to boost while flying in manual mode. That is extremely useful. The high density explosive, it's alright, but sometimes I don't notice it at all. And honestly, I can't tell whether I'm able to kill people with flak jackets when I directly hit them, because most people aren't really running flak jackets since they changed around the perks a bit, and they're running like other ones like Ghost or, wait, is that in the same one? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's in the same one. But yeah, they're running Ghost or Ninja, I want to say. So yeah, most of them are going to get murked, and high density explosive is kind of overkill and not really necessary. The rotor boost, I found it much more useful. Granted, it kind of is hard to control, so you guys better use it when you guys know there will be an enemy right away in order for you to hit that boost and not need to do any right turn right away, because you are not going to be able to pull that off when you're in boost. I can't tell too though if you waste the fuel much faster. I'm pretty sure you do, but either ways, it is still a bit more useful in my opinion than the high density explosive. That's the one I like to take more often, because once you kill them like 2 or 3 times, they start actually shooting the drone if they're able to aim. And so yeah, you might not be able to capitalize on those kills if they destroy your drone. So that's why I just take the rotor boost, so they're not really able to hit it. They have to spray and pray at that point. So RNG is going to be preying on your downfall if it actually hits your drone, and if it doesn't, then luck's on your side. Like I mentioned already, I thought that this was probably going to be the worst lethal in the game, and I thought the pointer was going to be one of the best ones, and then I used both of them. Pointer, insanely disappointed, but with the needle drone, I was pleasantly surprised, dude. It was extremely useful in the beta, and in the full release, like I mentioned already, it didn't change nothing about it. Definitely the best lethal in the game still, and with the overclocks, makes it much more useful. Definitely an S plus tier. So needle drone, I would suggest running it, giving it a try, so you guys can see how good it is. And if you guys don't really like piloting it, you guys don't have to. You have an option at the bottom where you press on the right stick or the melee button, whichever you guys use. So yeah, I personally like using it in manual mode because I'm able to control where it's going to go. That's why I'm also trying to unlock the sentry turret remote mode, because the sentry turret, it's alright, but it's not the best at all in this game. Dude, I wish there was some sort of manual mode for the point turret. I would take that over the rapid fire mod. If it had that, it would probably be much more useful. But then again, you do get one-shotted, so people might try to destroy you faster. But anyways, my dudes, that was my list for all the overclocks. All the lethal overclocks, my fault. Sorry it took me so long to make this video. I was trying to actually get all of the overclocks done at the same time, but then I was like, you know what, this is going to take me quite a bit of time still, and it already took me a week or so to upload another video. So that's why I was like, you know what, let's do this real fast, since I already have the lethals done, and I already did them before, so I kind of knew what I was going to do, but I did switch some things around. But anyways, my dudes, hopefully the matches are going much better for you guys. Let me know what your guys' list would be down in the comments, if you guys agree or disagree with my takes. And if you guys saw that your favorite lethal was at the bottom, let me know why you guys think that lethal should be much higher than it was in this video. With that being said, my dudes, hopefully you guys have a good day and stay safe. Later.